Hi there. Welcome to the SBP podcast, Mobile Filmmaking. I'm Susie Botello, your host, and you're listening to episode 83.
Hello, my name is M. Hollis Morgan. I am the director of the short film, The Exiled Heart. The Exiled Heart was a final selection for the 2020 International Mobile Film Festival, and it was truly a great experience. If you are looking for a film festival that specializes and focuses rather on mobile films, this is definitely a great one.
Hey everybody, welcome to the SBB podcast. I guess I'm your host today, Aaron Nabus. I'm one of the brand ambassadors of the International
I'm hiding
Mobile
in the
Film Festival.
closet.
And I'm here with our special guest, the founder of the festival, Susie Botello. How you doing, Susie?
Hi. Hey, you know what?
Yeah, what's up?
Let's do this. You're the host. No, I'm just kidding. My co-host. We have so much fun together that this probably will get a little goofy. How you doing, Aaron?
Pretty good. This whole COVID thing is been an interesting experience. That's for sure.
Yeah, I feel like we are living. Remember at first, right? I know myself and a few other people were kind of thinking about how it was like a movie, but it's been a very long movie, that we're experiencing.
Yes, indeed, and also, all the Black Lives Matter protests going on as well.
It's June 13th,
2020.
2020, and remember I Am Legend with Will Smith?
I do.
So remember he used to, every day, he was a scientist, right? But he was documenting every day. He would record the date and the time and his experiences. What do you think about that? I know this isn't a movie, but what do you think about that?
You mentioned documenting, and I think that's important, especially now, because as you mentioned, stories help shape perspectives, and stories help us understand other people and their perspectives. And if you don't tell your own story, someone's going to tell it for you. So I think that's something that making films on a smartphone can do. It empowers you to share and tell your own story. Just look at the Black Lives Matter movement. If it wasn't for the smartphone sharing that unfortunate incident, who knows what might have happened? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we're build everything up. We've built everything up for that almost. This year, the problem has been going on forever. But to have a smartphone, and I think this time is one of. I'm sure it's not the only time where it was filmed from beginning to end without stopping. And that made an impact because it wasn't just a short little clip type of a thing. It was the story from beginning to end, really, of the situation. And I think, coming from a storytelling perspective, what that has done, a video that was shot with a phone, right? By someone who was there as a part of it, experiencing that. Right, Aaron?
Yeah, it just lit a match that started a fire that extended all around the world. And metaphorically, it's starting to burn down some of the systematic racism that's been around for ages. So hopefully this can continue. This can continue, and uh, hopefully it'll be a beginning of the right path forward.
You know, one of the things about mobile filmmaking per se, right, is the fact that you have on one spectrum, it's a spectrum, right? So you have on one side, you have someone like Steven Soderbergh, just a couple years ago, making a movie with his smartphone, right? Someone from Hollywood, and being very creative and bringing the importance of the smartphone camera to the filmmaking industry a little more on the mainstream. And then on this side of the spectrum, you have people from all walks of life, right, who have their smartphones with them and encounter situations that now they can record. And the power, the power of the story, is in who gets to see it, right? Because if no one gets to see it, because I think there's another part of this that goes beyond just recording it, but the fact that you can share that on social media, I think makes a big difference too.
I believe so. And I mean, speaking of sharing, I mean, that's why something like the International Mobile Film Festival is important, because you give you give a space for people from around the world to share their stories, and they all have their unique perspectives and different forms of artistic expression, and I think that's a valuable thing to have.
Yeah, you know what that just made me realize too. I mean, not realize, but something to point out as well is that, like, for example, you could watch all the movies that were shot with mobile phones, right, and all the stories, and then you could get up and go about life, and well, that was good. But during the film festival, the filmmakers that come get to share. When you were saying the perspective, they get to share their perspective and their stories behind the stories. And there's a lot of really good insights that they share. Do you remember some of those that you might want to bring into perspective?
One thing that comes to mind, I know they talk about a lot of the technical challenges or some of the technical things that they were able to figure out. So I remember Anthony De La Cruz was talking about some of the ways he was editing on his phone, and then some of the other mobile movie creators were talking about lighting, or just talking about all the other technical aspects of the film. So I think one thing that's valuable about the film festival is that it gives them a chance to network with each other and exchange notes, and I think that just makes everybody better in the long run.
Yeah, and not only during the Q&A. It's the one-on-one that I see.
Agree.
Yeah, the one-on-one where somebody who may not, even just one of the attendees who was not a filmmaker, right, who all of a sudden says, well, I've got a phone. Maybe I want to make a movie,
Yeah,
because,
that's exactly.
And they'll just approach a filmmaker who made a movie, maybe the same kind of genre or did something really interesting, and they'll say one-on-one, hey, how did you do this? And if I wanted to make a film, and they have that one-on-one conversation that's more private. Not everybody wants to have their conversation be part of a panel. You know what I mean?
Right. And speaking of motivating, I mentioned Anthony De La Cruz earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, his daughter was in attendance one year, right? And then the next year, she decided to make her own movie. And she's only 11, or she was 11 at the time.
So he was on the Q&A panel in our film festival in 2016. And she and her mom and her sisters happened to be sitting behind me in the audience. And I asked, you know, a question to Anthony, and he was answering it. And the question had to do with youth, and filmmaking, and how I wanted to bring more youth into our film festival. And I turned around and to to her and her sisters, and I said, if one of you wants to make a movie with your smartphone, maybe you can be here, because Anthony had just said he planned to make a movie for the following year. I said, you could be in this film festival with your dad, And you never know when you say something to a kid if it's going to inspire them or not, But I think it was her dad being up there, the attention that he was getting, right? That really inspired her more.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the encouragement of me addressing her personally right there gave her something to think about. And she did it.
She did. And I remember both Anthony and her, Miranda, on the red carpet that year, was 2017. It was the first year that I attended the festival. And then you had asked us to do red carpet interviews, and it was great seeing both Anthony and his daughter, on the red carpet, and he was so happy for her, and was like, it was just a joy to watch. And Miranda was she just owned the place. She was so confident, and she was. It was just a great experience to see her sort of empowered at that exact moment in time,
Yeah, it was surprising, because she was quiet, and she looked a little, or appeared a bit shy.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever you asked her a question, and there she was in front of everyone, right? And she just lit up, It was amazing. It was such an amazing experience for me to be able to supply that platform when the father and the daughter could share the red carpet together, and have that all be recorded, and have it be a moment that they'll never forget.
And I think it was cool that, even though she was a kid, you still treated her as just the same as the other filmmakers.
Yeah, and I think that there's a reason for that, because I do see the storyteller, regardless of age, as equal to one another. Your story is not better than mine. My story is not better than yours. And I think it inspires people to share the stage and the platform with each other, regardless of age. Who else was also there was Mickey Harrison, who was like in her 80s.
Oh yeah, that was a beautiful juxtaposition. Just having the youngest filmmaker there, and the most experienced filmmaker there. It was interesting to see them together on the red carpet.
Yeah. It was for me. Remember, I don't know if you remember or not, but I remember saying it, that my dream had come true as far as the vision of seeing that on the red carpet all together, the novice, the experienced, the professional, the different age groups, all together on the red carpet.
Speaking of the festival, you have a few categories that look pretty interesting. You want to talk about a few of them?
Yeah, actually, I would like to make an announcement, because we have a new category, one that was inspired, by Jamiel Laurence, who won second place in this last year's virtual International Mobile Film Festival. And you can listen actually to his podcast that inspired me to create this category. His podcast was episode 80. And the category is called Screendance.
Screendance. That has a nice ring to it.
Yeah. Well, what's it's basically centered around the film that he did, which was really inspiring, and some of the other ones, if you go to his website, that you will find. So he's a dancer, and he works with dancers. He's a soloist. He's a choreographer, a dancer, and a filmmaker. I mean, obviously, a very talented guy. And one of the things that was really inspiring about his film is that he is actually moving the camera. When I say camera, I'm talking about the smartphone, right? The smartphone camera.
Yep.
Using a gimbal, right, as a stabilizer. He is performing and moving the camera fluidly around the performer. And the camera almost becomes almost like the bird's eye view type of a thing, but not really high, looking down. Dancing around the performer in a way. Like he's leaping and sliding around and all kinds of camera movements. So he's dancing along with the dancers.
It's like a partner that you can't see.
Right. And he gives the audience, the people. So I look at the smartphone as a window, like the window in your pocket, right? You can pull out and see everything from. It's your perspective. Like with a regular, camera, it's this big thing, and the screen is just a little part of it. And in the traditional film industry, you have a calibrated monitor so that you can see exactly what it looks like. Because what you see through the camera is not exactly what it's going to look like in the end. So you use a separate monitor for that. But with a phone, you're looking at a rectangle, and you put it in front of something, and it's like a window to the view of what you're seeing, to the perspective. And so I just think that's kind of an awesome way of, what you see is what you get. And so he's dancing around and moving it around, and he does the circular motions and things like that. I just think it's pretty awesome. So that's what the Screendance category is, to encourage people in that industry, in the dance industry, to make films using their smartphone cameras, which are more mobile, more versatile, more. You don't have to have a lot of muscle to move around in that way. You only need one hand, basically. You don't need both hands. And it just allows you to move free, have a lot of freedom in the movements.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to seeing the submissions for that category.
Yeah, and hopefully if everything works out, he plans to be here in San Diego to lead that category and an award, a very special award to somebody from that category. So we encourage anyone who wants to submit a film for dancing to go for it and actually say, I want to submit it to the Screendance category.
Speaking of submissions, submissions are going live June 19th, 2020.
Yes, they are at midnight. When you submit a feature film, I should mention that we raised the bar a little bit on that one. So it used to be from 40 to 90 minutes, and we've now extended that to 40 minutes to 120 minutes. So your film can be anywhere between 40 and 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I thought I'd do that for people who wanted to, have a little more, than a 90-minute film. If you want to have a 91-minute film. Because we're really strict on those time limits. But I think that should help some people. in any case, it makes it a little more of a standard, feature film.
And I think there's they have until, was it October 19th to submit short films?
Yeah. So actually, no. Feature films. The deadline for feature films is October 19th.
Oh, that's right.
But November 19th is for the short films.
Got it.
So make a note, Aaron.
My bad.
No, it's fine. I'm just messing with you. Anything else you think you'd like to chat about?
I know there's a cosplay category.
Hey, why don't you give out some ideas to our listeners about the cosplay? Because that's something. Not that you're a cosplayer, but the comics industry is your thing.
Yeah, I think some really cool ideas for movies about cosplaying would be behind the scenes footage, incorporating that into a movie, because throughout the years, cosplaying has gotten way more elaborate. It's not just about going to the store and finding something haphazardly and slapping it on and then going to a convention all on the same day. You have people spending weeks, if not months, creating these elaborate cosplays. I mean, you have 3D printing technology, like what our good friend Dude Vader does. He 3D prints a lot of the pieces that he wears, from his helmet to like the shoulder pads and other pieces of armor that he creates. You have a lot of cosplayers who are sewing from scratch their own costumes. So I'd love to see them sort of going behind the scenes and showing how they create and fabricate their costumes. Another thing that would be incredible to see would be, I know a lot of our cosplay friends, like I mentioned, Dude Vader, Hot Nerd Girl also, they're part of Star Wars Steampunk Universe, and they do a lot of charity events, and it would be incredible to see them interact with some of the kids that they go visit. Having that more sort of thematically or cinematically presented would be incredible. So I think those would be two things that I'd love to see concerning cosplay when it comes to cosplay film.
Yeah, one of the things that I found out about some of the cosplayers too is that it is an industry.
Mm-hmm.
There are some of them actually are it's their job to cosplay. They get hired and paid.
Right.
Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing. And a lot of them are starting to create their own channels, like on Twitch. Twitch isn't just about video games anymore. There's a lot of people there who actually showcase their own cosplays on Twitch. So it's incredible to see them get paid for what they're passionate about.
Yeah, I think it's one of the, I always make a big deal out of our red carpet events. And remember when we brought them into the red carpet, you remember what initiated? I just remember that we were talking on the phone about Batman.
You had asked me if we could get Batman on the red carpet. So I actually looked around for
it wasn't just on the red carpet. So I had the idea. Remember the trophies?
Oh yeah. I remember. You had said that you were going to say that. Oh, what happened to the awards? And
like I forgot. Hey, everybody, I'm so sorry. I forgot the trophies.
Yeah,
at home.
And then Batman would come save the day and deliver the trophies and everything.
Right. He would walk from the back through the audience to bring up the trophies for the award ceremony. And I thought that was a really cool idea that I would want to experience, and I thought everybody would love it. And you did look around.
But I came up with a pretty good alternative.
Yes, you did. You brought a whole group of
I asked Hot Nerd Girl if she would be willing to ask Star Wars Steampunk Universe to come represent on the red carpet. And luck was on our side, and they were able to come through that year.
Yep. And it's been a thing ever since. And I hope it'll continue to be a thing for like for a long time. And that's one of the reasons why I created the cosplay category as well, because I wanted to give them another venue and another thing to do, get creative, share their stories in film, join us on the red carpet, have another opportunity to wear their costumes,
Yeah, definitely. I think, although, yeah, like costumes and everything, that's like, it's such an eye-opening thing, and it's such a way to break up the monotony of the festival, because people get excited when they get escorted down the red carpet with somebody from the Star Wars steampunk universe.
Yeah, I think this year I was pretty much directing, the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling people beforehand, go crazy, get creative, do your thing. I mean, you don't just have to walk out there and pose, and
Right.
they took it to heart. They were having so much fun.
You got people doing splits. You got gymnastics. I'm like, whoa, what's going on over here?
You remember Ross Perkins and Kimberly Hart
from Australia.
Yeah. They had so it was Sean Richter, right, playing the Mandalorian.
Yep.
And they grabbed his what was that, like a gun of some sort?
Yeah.
Does it have a specific name for it?
I don't think so.
Okay, so it's not me being a dork. All right. So whatever that was, so they grabbed it and they were posing around for it. And see, Ross Perkins is an actor as well, and so he was really doing the moves there on the acting. He, I think what it does is it really livens that whole thing up into a show. And I remember Stephen Palmer
Peterson.
Peterson. I'm like, wow. He was, he seemed like this quiet guy, right? And he really let loose on the red carpet.
Right.
It was pretty cool. Yeah, it was fantastic. I love the red carpet. And that's hard to mimic in our virtual film festival that we had.
Yeah. So fingers crossed for next year.
Right. Let's see, what else?
And another category that I think is important, and it's probably your favorite category, is the community stories category.
Yeah, that is one of my closest to heart categories. That empowers a community member from a community to share a story from their own community, as opposed to having someone from the outside come in to share their stories.
And I think we've had some of the most moving and endearing movies from this category.
Definitely. I think one of my first community stories shared was from Africa. If you remember our story about the street children from our friend in Cameroon. His name, his nickname, at least, as he told me, is God Love, because his mother named him that. It's about orphans, right, on the streets, and we presented that. I believe it was in 2017 in that film festival, and I spoke with him. You may have heard of him when you met me in 2016 at that panel, because I brought him his other name on Facebook was Cine Cell. And he got in touch with me and said, I have a community story that I want to put in your film festival. And I said, okay, send it to me, and I saw it and I thought, oh, this is really, really good, And what happened was that he said, I don't have things here in Cameroon and Africa, but I want to share the stories.
I think I remember this story.
Yeah. So he made a tripod out of a bamboo. He made a stabilizer out of a steering wheel from a car, an abandoned car. He did things like this. I want to share something though with you, and this is the first time I forgot to mention this to you, and I was going to bring it up to our friend Anthony De La Cruz as well because he's always been inspired by this story. So I actually received a few messages from him a couple weeks ago. Guess where he is? He finally realized a little bit of a dream. He is in the United States now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He has, I mean, this goes back when I first met him online. I think it was in 2014, 2015. And he was always, I told him, don't give up. And he was like, I won't. You inspire me, and I want to come to your film festival. I hope now that he's in the United States, he can cruise over to our film festival.
That'd be awesome.
In San Diego. I'd make a live big shout out to him, as I'm doing right now. But to congratulate him because, as an orphan himself in Cameroon and Africa, equipped, I think he was using a BlackBerry phone to make his movies.
What's
at
a
the
BlackBerry
time.
phone? I'm just joking.
Right? And then he was using Adobe Premiere to edit his films. And his dream was to come here and, be a filmmaker and a musician too. So he's living the dream right now.
Well, hopefully I get a chance to meet him.
Yeah. So yes. So he was telling the story, from within as, himself using his phone, which was really awesome. And there's been a few more of those, but every year we try to feature at least one as a community story featured in our film festival, and we kind of make a big deal out of that.
Mm-hmm. And some of the other categories, we'll just go down the list. You have the cinematic film category, which I think is pretty self-explanatory, right?
Definitely.
Probably something that's relevant for today's times, the journalism and current events category.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty awesome for mobile journalists and vloggers to submit to. The geography and wildlife category. I think I remember you telling me about a movie that you shot for this category, sort of, featuring a gopher, right?
Yeah, it was more like a 1 minute movie. Caught a gopher in the backyard and used that was with my iPhone 4S.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I think I still have my iPhone 5 somewhere. I don't know where it is though.
Oh wow. Yeah, I actually I edited that movie using Splice.
Splice.
Yeah, and I included some banjo type music to go with it.
Oh, I can imagine it right now.
Yeah, it was cute. Yeah, it was a really short thing. I caught it. I happened to catch it. I didn't zoom in or anything. I literally walked up into it. I snuck the camera right in front of it. But because the camera is so small, right? I didn't scare it away. So it felt pretty cool to get a gopher coming out of its hole. It was peeping its head around and stuff. It was pretty funny. It was cute.
And lastly, we have the business and entrepreneurship category.
Yes. And you remember Prakash Gandhi?
Oh, yeah, I remember him.
Yeah. He actually submitted one of the first ones in that category about a bakery, and another one from a dance company. Yeah, so if you own a business or if you're an entrepreneur or something like that, you can definitely submit a business type film to the film festival. Get creative, tell a story that's kind of important, and promote it. And imagine I think it would be great that you can use your experience and the film's experience and the red carpet and everything as something, for your marketing campaign, for your company, for your film to say, oh, yeah, we made a promotional video that, if you win an award, that'd be awesome, right?
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
How about tips on how to increase the chances of having your movie picked? What are some tips that you can throw out there for some of the filmmakers?
Well, without getting too deep into anything, I would say, first you got to have your story. Definitely shoot horizontal, not vertical. Good audio. Get creative in choosing more than one location to shoot your film. Good lighting. Pay attention to all the details, basically. I don't know. I don't know really what else to say other the overall quality of your film. Watch other films. Watch a lot of movies and do the best you can.
Yeah, I think they should go back and watch one of the films from last year's festival, one that won for features, Stealth. I think it has good examples of everything that you just talked about. I loved especially the location shots and a lot of the different angles that were used.
Yeah, there were some scenes from inside the car, and a lot of people inside the car tend to shoot their footage at, just sitting on the passenger seat.
Mm-hmm.
And in this movie, you could see that she used Inga Vosk, by the way, is the filmmaker's name. She used different angles from different places in the car. Even looking up from, instead of just at eye level from the passenger side. There's, you think it's a small space and there's not much you can do, but I love how they covered the car scenes from different angles as well by using the mobility of the camera in that way.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And all the locations that they used. There was some pretty cool footage in some areas where, remember, there were the two guys, the two of the protagonists were eating. I think one of them was eating grapes or an apple. I can't remember right now.
Yeah.
Over by sitting off of a ladder, and there was a tree there, and it was a really, really cool shot. The whole thing was very artistic.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure, issues of continuities is a concern. I mean, especially for a feature length movie. What are some tips that people can do to make sure that they have good continuity?
There's a lot of tricks. I was continuity and script supervisor in in a couple feature in a feature
In a past
film.
life.
Yeah, right. There's a sense of with continuity that you have to match things. So you can review your footage from the film. You can take pictures but I think, to be honest with you, Aaron, because I've been lying the whole time. To be honest with you, though, sincerely, I think one of the best things to do is to bring someone on board to actually keep a good eye out for things before you shoot them. Hey, their shirt in that last scene last time, the other day, right, was, hanging out on one side or something, and now it's tucked in. Like, why did that happen? How did that happen? I'm just throwing an example. When there's a scene of two people drinking water from a clear glass, right? You have something. It's very typical if you're paying attention to notice that the water is full, and then at the middle of the scene it's half full, but then later on in the scene it's full again, and it has to do with someone keeping track of things like that, just everything. Hair, makeup, wardrobe, the props on the set in your scene, lighting also has a lot to do with it. The time of day, you can cheat the time of day, things like that. Yeah, definitely. It's a good idea to just bring somebody on board to help you, keep track of those things. But again, if you can at least review your footage, have someone taking photos to check again. Those things can be very helpful because they do confuse people, and they stop them from being involved in your film, and you do want that. You want to captivate someone's attention, and you don't want to let that go once you have it.
Yeah, I think keeping, the attention of the audience is definitely important.
Yeah.
I guess
there's another thing, actually.
Yeah.
I think is kind of important, and it's not during production, it's during editing. Has to do with the pace of your editing,
Mm-hmm.
and not drawing out your scenes, from one scene to another, from one cut to another too long. Not letting the pace of a dialogue without purpose drawing, have that be too much of a pause between one line and another line from another actor, per se. It gets weird. If it gets weird, review your stuff and have other people look at it, because sometimes you can get tired of that. But I think it's really important not just to capture everything with the camera, with the phone and everything like that, but however you decide to edit, your film, that really has a lot to do with the output. So, pay attention to that as well.
Cool. Is there anything else?
No, there's a lot.
Oh yeah, I know. But in terms, generally speaking.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that's good.
I know in your last episode, you were talking to Kara, and you had mentioned that you sort of, I guess in the spirit of hindsight 2020, right? You went back and watched a lot of the films that were submitted for past festivals. I'm curious. I know you touched on it in that episode, but how did that make you feel?
Oh, nostalgic. Just nostalgic. It also,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the people from past film festivals I'm still in touch with. So it sometimes, I'll reach out and say, hey, I just got done watching your film again, from like 4 years ago. I do get people from years ago actually reach out once in a while, just share where, something new that they're doing. Not necessarily always related to mobile film, but just, hey, I made a film here, it wasn't shot with a phone, but I thought you'd like to see it. Or I shot this with a phone. It doesn't qualify for your film festival, but I just wanted to share it with you, see what you think, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, when I saw the films again, it was pretty awesome. I was remembering the conversations, the correspondence between the filmmakers through each one of these film festivals in the past.
It must have been an incredible feeling.
Yeah. It's just amazing sometimes what you remember too, the details.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of details, we should probably go over the dates once again. Next year, it'll take place, the International Mobile Film Festival, on April 23 to 25, 2021, and it's basically the last weekend of April. And
as always.
As always. And open call for films is this June 19th, 2020. and you have until October 19th, 2020 to turn in your feature length films, and you have until November 19th, 2020 to turn in your short films. So remember those dates. And I think there's another date that's also important. You're going to be participating in something called Lockdown Con. It's taking place June 26th, I think, to the 28th. You have a panel. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, actually, our other ambassadors, you're not the only one, our honorary ambassadors, Jed Brophy and Mark Hadlow. They're going to join me for a panel at the Lockdown Con on at 2 p.m. on Sunday, June 28th, and we are here in this time frame here. Do you ever say Los Angeles or LA? Doesn't LA just sound better?
It's quicker.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever said Los Angeles. It just feels different. But the LA time, Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. on the 28th, we are going to be talking about, well, do you want to share with them what that really, I mean, pop culture with films and gaming, and you've got celebrities from all over the place.
It's like it's a virtual convention, since we're all going through this pandemic. So it's pop culture and sci-fi heavy in terms of their guests, and I think a couple of video game people are going to be there too. But Neil and Jenna Halford, they've put together this thing called Lockdown Con, and it has grown. I'm like, wow! Every day I see Neil post something new.
Yeah, there's like all these speakers, right? It's kind of neat to see my face in between all these amazing people.
Uh-huh.
But Jed Brophy and Mark Hadlow became ambassadors and are really good. They're firm believers of the mobile filmmaking community, and they're here to inspire you. They were protagonists in a feature film that kind of went a little viral last year, Blue Moon, directed by Steph Harris. One of the things about this film is it was all shot in New Zealand in one location at a gas station.
Mm-hmm.
And Jed Brophy and Mark Hadlow were the protagonists of this, and it's a very heavy, or how should I say this? There's a lot of dialogue in this, and they're such good actors. You may know them. For example, Jed is Nori from The Hobbit, one of the dwarves, and Mark plays Dory. But they've been in different films together. Like Jed has been in Lord of the Rings, but they've both been in King Kong. Jed has also been in District 9 and a few other films. And anyways, it's really neat to have them together. They were also in our virtual film festival this year. Jed was planning to be here in San Diego before the COVID-19 thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that and sharing it with everybody. So make sure you tune in. It's live.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to watch. And just I'm on the Lockdown website, lockdowncon.com, and once again, it's going to be June 26th to the 28th, and some of the other.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up something. It's put together by Swords and Circuitry Studios because they are also, you should know, they've sponsored our film festival several years now as well.
And some of the guests that are going to be showing up, you have John Billingsley. He acted on Star Trek Enterprise. He's one of the people on Uncharted Regions. You have Brandon Easton. He's a well-known comic book writer. You have John Jennings, another prolific comic book writer.
He was on that panel that you moderated, right?
No, he was on the panel that was before my panel.
Oh, okay. That's right.
So
That's right.
yeah. And then you mentioned Jed Brophy, Mark Hadlow, and there's a whole bunch of people here that come from different fandoms. So it'll be interesting to watch. So I'm looking forward to definitely your panel for sure.
Yeah. And by the way, for our listeners, the panel that we were talking about that that you moderated, that was at
Oh,
Black Comics Day, the
yeah.
event. Yeah.
Yeah, our good friend Keithan Jones.
That's right.
He had asked me to moderate a panel. It was called "Empowered: How Indie Comic Book Creators Build Universes and Communities." So he asked me to moderate that panel 2 years in a row now. So I'm
That's
honored
pretty awesome.
to have done that. Yeah. So
And I asked Keithan because he was going to be in our film festival this year as well, remember?
that's right. Yeah, he's gonna have his panel.
Yeah, he was going to have basically like a workshop on Kickstarter campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I think that's something filmmakers love to know about. He shot his Kickstarter campaigns with his phone. I did not know that.
Yeah.
So
he's been doing some live things every now and then. He'll be drawing and talking to like his followers every so often. So he's still using his smartphone.
yeah, oh, he's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that you and I that I've met through you that are pretty incredibly awesome, and I know you have met people through me through the film festival and everything that you also think are pretty awesome. And you know, it's a give and take thing. You know, we're both in this same. We kind of are the community of the people that you know and the people that I know, right, from the film industry. They kind of cross together, you know.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely. Awesomeness is awesomeness.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, some of the filmmakers that I've met through you. I mean, C.K. Golding was definitely one of them that comes to mind.
Yeah. And, you know, there's one filmmaker I'd like to see back again in our film festival again. I think he's been taking a break far too long. Brian Hennings.
Oh, yes. From Down Under.
Yeah. He came to our film festival twice in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And the second time he came and he won. And we haven't seen him again. So so if you're listening, Brian, come on. You've taken a long enough break. Time to get back on the saddle.
That's right, Brian.
The kangaroo saddle. He's from Perth in Australia. They're in a different time zone than in Sydney.
Ah.
Yeah. They're on the west side and Sydney's on the east side, basically. But yeah. And
yeah,
actually, that's where Heath Ledger was from, Perth.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, just I know stuff. All right, well, awesome. Thanks for hosting me.
Hey, you're welcome anytime. Thanks for giving me the opportunity, and thank you for, you know, I think we've known each other since 2016. Time flies, and I'll never forget when I met you for the first time at your panel at San Diego Comic-Con, and it was just on a whim, really. I was taking a break from interviewing people, and I just decided, hey, I'm going to be a fan for the next couple hours. And I had bookmarked your panel as one of the panels that I wanted to go see. So, you know, I went there, checked out your panel. We talked for a little bit afterwards, and we started following each other on social media. And then now we've become friends and collaborators. And I'm just thankful that I went to your panel.
Awesome. Yeah, that's another thing. San Diego Comic-Con got postponed or whatever, but they're going to do a thing. But anyways, all right, well, cool. I'm glad that you've been a part of our film festival each and every year and that you're part of the team. And I really appreciate it, Aaron. I mean, everything you do, including, it's Saturday night here in Saturday night live. No, here in San
It is
Diego.
Saturday. It is Saturday night.
It is. It's Saturday night. On lockdown. No, things have opened up a little bit here, but it's still, it's still not. It's still discouraged. Is that even a word?
Yeah, it's a word.
Is it?
Yep.
Yeah, it's Saturday night. What would I know, right? All right. Well, everybody, say goodbye, Aaron.
Goodbye, and don't forget to tell your own story before someone else tells it for you.
That's right. We're going to put links to Aaron's website, by the way, on the notes, and we always include links to ours, so I don't even have to tell you that. But we'll include a link to Aaron's website so you can read his stories on his website and follow some of his podcasts. Are pretty fun. They have some pretty cool guests, Aaron. And yeah, you guys stay safe. Submit films. You can submit more than one. Submit films, make films, share your stories, and be healthy.